Can a man change identity? Can a man change his name? Can a man with a changed name, after being convicted for rape, get out of jail, become somebody else and evade the system for 9 years without collusion of higher-ups, big shots and influential individuals, including perhaps his father? Opening up on the Newshour Debate tonight, Jay Panda represents the BJD, Nirmala Sitharaman represents the BJP. I don't want to preempt their points of view, but Abha Singh, senior advocate and social activist, and Kavita Srivastava believe without collusion, not possible. Kavita Srivastava, would you tell us why you think without collusion, Bitti Mohanty could not have become Raghav and remained Raghav for 7 years?
See, he was granted parole in November of 2006. Now, that entire parole was illegal because, it was a way out for him to get out of jail. The victim had left the country. There was nobody who was actually monitoring. So they gave a cock and bull story that the mother was sick. Now, if the mother was sick, how could the parole order then have said that he can't leave the city of Jaipur in a particular address? And here he goes away. He violates parole's first norm of moving out of the city, and then the father tries to put in an application and says that he needs a psychological assessment, and after that we don't hear from him. Now, there was a lot of pressure by everybody on the then Chief Minister and that government in 2006 that we locate him. Now, they did file a case, there was some sort of effort, but over a period of time, nobody bothered. The BJP, which was partner with the BJD, they covered up. The father was an influential man, a very senior police officer. His colleagues were in Rajasthan. There were DGs here. There was some sort of active networking there. And after that, when this present Congress government came into power, it didn't even bother. And let me tell you this, Arnab, in Rajasthan, there is a history of turning your eye away when prisoners disappear.
What do you mean? No, 1 minute. Kavita, let's be very direct. Vasundhara Raje Scindia was the Chief Minister of Rajasthan between 8 December 2003 and 11 December 2008. Are you saying that Vasundhara Raje Scindia's government colluded to let a rapist get out of jail and remain free?
Absolutely. See, because she remained in power after that, full of 2007, full of 2008, So for 2 years after that. And 2 years is sufficient time for somebody to be caught and to be saying, presuming he's gone abroad or presuming what the family is saying he's dead.
Okay, let's get a response, Kavita.
Giving out.
Let's get a response.
But just 1 minute. In this country, you cannot get away without the police and politicians helping you. Such a thing could never have happened without that.
The onus is now on Vasundhara Raje to respond to the very broad question as to why Bitti Mohanty jumped parole in 2006. Today, the accusation put is that you, as in the BJP government, had 2 full years to track him down and bring him to book. Kavita Srivastava does not believe you failed. Kavita Srivastava believes you colluded. Wow. Nirmala Sitharaman, would you respond to Kavita Srivastava, please?
I'm not sure I want to respond to an allegation which has been so widely thrown at us, the BJP. It is very easy for us all to say, oh yes, it is Vasundhara, is it so and so, is it so and so. Here is a case of a person who has been convicted and is imprisoned, comes out on parole and disappears. Yes, the police is an institution which is monitored by the government and all that, but ultimately he is a prisoner who jumped parole, and I think we should take it at its face value and start seriously looking at where the mistakes lie, rather than say Vasundhara collided with somebody or colluded with somebody. I'm sorry. These are, if anything, with due respect to the lady who's making this kind of an allegation, I think absolutely irresponsible comment to make. I condemn it straight away.
Nirmala,
there's no way of dealing with,
Nirmala Sitharaman, can I add one thing to that? That Bitti Mohanty was granted parole to visit his mother. His mother was in Cuttack. The parole order says he's not allowed to leave the state. The responsibility of keeping Bitti Mohanty in the state is therefore of the state government.
I fully understand that, and I will still say, unless we establish the fact, and I am not trying to escape, responsibility if there has got to be one fixed. But then, much before we really find out as to how this man escaped, even being under parole,
Yeah.
it is, I think, absolutely not so responsible of any one of us to speak about a chief minister and say she is responsible.
Well,
and therefore, I think what is important for all of us is
there is a right people have to ask the questions in a mystery case such as this.
You may ask a question.
Responsibility.
You may ask a question.
There is a moral and an administrative
You
responsibility.
may ask a question.
That's how she becomes responsible.
In my hands is a picture. And I don't know if you've seen this.
Speak for a minute?
You want to respond to her? Go ahead.
Speak for a minute.
Respond to Kavita Srivastav. Then
Yes,
Abha
because
comes.
I think what I'm trying to say, and I'm not fudging my words. If you're saying that we have to find out how this happened, it is one thing. To straight away, charge the chief minister, then chief minister, saying, "Oh, she colluded," I think is starting this debate in a very, very sensational
Well, it's a
note,
question
and I
to
will not
ask.
join in the discussion.
It's a question to ask.
But to allege that
it's a question.
You may ask a question. You may ask a question, or no, I have no difficulties answering a question being asked.
Nirmala
But I think the
Sitharaman.
tone and tenor with which the allegation has been thrown, I think is sensationalizing the whole thing.
That
Instead
is
of looking at where the problem
Nirmala
lies,
Sitharaman.
you seem to want to lift the debate for a level
It is not at
acceptable.
all. It is your right to have that point of view. Ladies and gentlemen, in my hands is a picture.
Yes.
And this picture is a picture of the State Bank of Travancore State Staff Learning Center. This picture is of the batch of probationary officers between 2/7/2012 and 7/7/2012. Now, I just want to point out, and we'll take the color picture. Here is the picture. Here is the picture. Now there's the color printout of the person who's known as Raghav. Bitti Mohanty. How did a DGP's rapist son get out of the system, gets himself enrolled in a public sector bank and hope to get away? Abha, we therefore have two questions out here. One, how could he have changed his identity for 7 years? The second question is about the responsibility of the state government. What, in your view, is the responsibility of Jay Panda's party, which is in power in Odisha?
See, when the party knew that this DG's son has been convicted of rape, they should have removed him that minute. By the very fact they continued to him at that important post, and he could misuse his post to manage senior officers and ensure that his son was given a parole in 8 months, which is unheard of in a rape case, and then even getting the fake driving license made, fake passport made, fake mark sheets made, and this all shows that they all are part of a criminal conspiracy under 120B of the IPC. So the government, by letting him be there, ensured that this Bitti Mohanty was given all help from the government.
Why have you given Bibi Mohanty a sort of a long rope? Why haven't you questioned him? Even tonight he's missing. Your state government has never really asked Bibi Mohanty any straight questions on this one. Jay.
Arnab, first of all, I think Ms. Kavita Srivastav doesn't have her facts right. Let me first correct the facts, and then you'll see that the state government's intentions have always been absolutely correct and its actions correct. As soon as the incident happened, the state government instituted an inquiry, because you cannot just take action on somebody without having the facts in place. And when the inquiry was completed, the father was indeed suspended, because there was prima facie evidence that there could have been collusion. So he was suspended. But in this country there are also courts of law. No. So he took that route, and he applied for legal relief, and he did get legal relief from the administrative tribunal. Now, when that happens, the state government has no choice but to reinstate him. It was not a government decision, it was a legal relief.
I'm sorry. I think you are wrong. I think you are wrong, Jay. I must correct you. The suspension was overruled by a committee under the chief secretary and not by any court. If the allegation that the state government was protecting Mohanty is indeed true, then the committee's clean chit to Bibi Mohanty also raises questions.
But let me point out that there was a proper inquiry and a hearing, and based on which he was not put in any mainline police affairs at all. He was given charge of the fire department. So he did
so
not,
what?
The allegation that was made is that he remained
and
DG
being
of police.
DG of a state, he had his batchmates in Rajasthan. He could always talk to them. The very fact that he was a senior IPS officer, and any post, let me tell you, whether it's fire services or and CID, but the very fact a senior officer was continued to work when he should have been charged under section 109 IPC for abetment. He was an abettor to this crime, and instead of putting him behind bars, he continued to be there.
Both sides of the argument.
Go ahead, Jay.
I think your viewers deserve to hear both sides of the argument. Not
listening
just
to you
repeat
keenly.
Of one side.
Yep, go ahead.
Yes, the point is, there was a proper process followed when he was suspended on the basis of prima facie evidence, and then when that evidence could not be confirmed through the process of his appeal, he was indeed reinstated, but he was not put in mainline police operations, like I said. And even if he had remained suspended, it doesn't take away the fact that as a senior IPS officer, he would have friends not only in Rajasthan but in many different states.
But that is precisely the question. That is precisely the question that Kavita raised at the start. The system treats an ex-DGP with kid gloves, and as a result of that, Bitti lives the life of a free man. Nirmala Sitharaman wants to come.
No, Arnab, I just want to make one quick point here. Where Kavita Srivastav is correct is the fact that the parole was at all issued, because, I think many of us are shocked to understand that convicted criminals are allowed parole before the end of their term. Now, if you look at other countries, they are considered for parole after they have served almost all or a substantial portion of their term. Now here, for reasons like going to weddings and going to see ill relatives, of cases in Delhi where politically connected prisoners convicted of murder have been released many times.
So what, Jay? I just want to put one fact before our viewers. In January 2013...
Can I make just a quick point why it's important to look at this parole? It said every 2 days he would report at a particular police station in Jaipur. He never even reported once. And even that was overlooked by the authorities in Jaipur. See the collusion. And that is not examined by the Home Secretary. That is not examined by the Home Minister. That is not examined by the Chief. The Chief Minister, that is the level of collusion. He never once visited the police station when he was supposed to do it every 2 days. Of course the father was helping him. Of course the whole establishment in Rajasthan was helping him run away, never to return.
I take your point. My very clear question. Nirmala, before you come in, in January 2013, Times Now did a detailed story where we had a very senior retired police officer say that I saw Bibi Mohanty with his son in Bhubaneswar when he was out on parole. I want to know, Jay Panda, was the Orissa government blind when we did the report? And when we did that report, why did the Orissa government not wake up in January this year? What were you waiting for?
In January of this year?
January of this year. January of this year, we did a news report where a senior ex-Director General of Police was on tape saying that I saw this ex-DGP with his son in Bhubaneswar when he was out on parole. Tell me, why did your state government do nothing?
No, I don't think you mean when he was out on parole. I think you mean when he had gone absconding. I'm not sure what the circumstances were in January of this year, because if there was any allegation actually raised about somebody having seen him, perhaps action would have been taken.
See, everybody sees in bureaucracy, it is you scratch my back, I scratch yours. Politicians need the police for their vested interests, and accordingly, so many times it is seen that even when police have been involved in false encounters, it is the politicians who've helped them out. And in this case, because the DG was well connected, even in Rajasthan, there was some IS officer who was related to him. And if we see on parole, the doctor said, I did not verify that his mother was sick. Then if this was the issue, why was this case not referred to a medical board? That is why it raises the eyes that the Rajasthan government was helping him, the Orissa government was helping him, and that is the reason today we have a fake passport, we have a fake driving license and fake mark sheets. It raises a thing about the country. You are making a mockery of the system, a mockery of the country.
Nirmala is rebutting you. Nirmala, yes.
The Orissa government was not helping. The Orissa government was not helping him. Although
yeah, Nirmala.
Both Kavita and Usha raised very, very important points, there's no doubt about it. Today, obtaining a passport or a driving license or anything else, happens in so many different places, and it is being given without much verification to lots of people, and every time, somebody is arrested under terrorism charges also, you hear about these sort of things. So what I'm trying to tell you here is, the system at all levels has become so laid back and so, not following due diligence processes.
But who will rectify? You are supposed to rectify. Your party at power is supposed to rectify.
Let me just finish, ma'am. Let me just finish, ma'am. I'm granting that you're raising valid points. Let me just finish, and I would request you to have a bit of patience to hear me. They are important points, and everybody who is anywhere near policy making or in administration or law making, legislatures, all of us will have to take the responsibility. Is undeniably a fact. But the fact remains that has got to be the point on which we have also all of us to answer on our questions of accountability. But I'm cautioning against jumping too far and saying, oh, the chief minister directly was involved in this. She was participating in this.
No, it doesn't have to be the chief minister.
I have very serious reservations.
No, it doesn't have to be the chief minister.
That could also be the case in some cases.
No, I tell you today, Nirmala, I'm sorry to butt in, but the point is, Bitti was granted 15 days parole. Kavita, correct me if I'm wrong. On November 20th, 2006, it was only after a month after his parole expired that the police filed a case about his disappearance. Yeah. Now, the police has to be completely blind or wanting to be blind. No, my question is different. My question is
disputing. No, just a minute. I'm not trying to argue on those facts, but what I'm trying to tell you is those are the facts on which we have to establish where the accountability lies. In January, when you showed the program where you said 7 years and you're just not able to find where this boy is, it is right that the media should put the pressure, and rightly you did it in January, and luckily we hear now that he's been already, found in Kannur.
No.
But
my question is
questions which are very important.
No, why do you need
why do you need the media? The taxes are going for the salary of the bureaucrats and the government servants. Why should media do this work? That means there's a failure of the institutions.
I agree, ma'am.
Let us send these bureaucrats and police officers home. Why do we need them? Why no action was taken on the people when this boy jumped parole? Were there any dismissals? Let us dismiss these people who have been found guilty of this, helping him. Let us charge them under criminal conspiracy, under abetment. Why don't we put them behind bars?
Let her reply.
Arnav,
let me point
if you will just permit me without being interrupted for a minute. Abha and Kavita are right in saying what they have said, and all of us are in agreement. I'm only pointing out that at various levels, from top to bottom, there is so many, there are so many stages on which accountability doesn't prevail. I agree with that. But only I'm cautioning, and I brought in the media's relevance here because I remember your show in January talking about Bitti Mohanty. I'm not trying to shift the responsibility onto the media. You have your role to play, and I found this time, coincidentally, your role came in timely, and in Kannur somebody has been alerted, probably an NGO or somebody alerted, and therefore we were able to find him. But the argument here is we have to highlight all these areas.
I certainly don't want to. It's not about taking credit. Very simply put, Jay, I'm just coming to you. I have a simple question. There is a government. Now, if it's a BJP, BJD, Congress, I don't care. In this case, it was a BJP government. The BJP government, did it take any action against the police, Kavita, you can tell me, for the delay in filing a case which eventually helped Bitti Mohanty? Can you tell Nirmala Sitharaman if they took any action?
No, there was no action against any police personnel, neither at the Thana, where he was supposed to report every 2 days. A copy of the parole order goes to that particular Thana, because they are supposed to see that he comes. Neither was he reporting there, neither was, so no action was taken at the Thana level, no action at the SP level, no action at all, right up to the top. The illegal parole order was also not questioned. No internal inquiry. To date, neither Vasundhara Raje government set up a one-person committee of Ashok Gehlot, now that he is found, set up a one-person, two-person, ex-judge committee. I mean, those kind of tokenism were also not done. I mean, you can see how blatant it was that, well, the girl is not there, she's gone off, so why bother and let the man go, get on, move on with the life. This is a case from active collusion to turning a blind eye. It's that kind of a case. That's the journey of 7 years. And we are so glad that he's been
No,
found.
no,
Bibi
Mohanty took stood for surety, which was absolutely wrong. He was not the fit person to be a surety for the parole. So that itself was illegal because the laws say that a person for surety, you know, Bibi Mohanty stood the surety, which itself was wrong.
1 minute. Abha, you're wrong.
Allow me to say one line.
The surety was somebody else.
I'm just wondering. I'm just wondering today, Jay Panda. Just coming. One small point, Jay Panda. I'm just wondering. I remember the Supreme Court criticizing the Orissa police for not cooperating with the Rajasthan police to help arrest Bibi Mohanty. Aren't you also wondering, Jay, that for an Aam Aadmi, if an Aam Aadmi were to allegedly play a role in the collusion to let his son escape, change identity after the heinous crime of rape, tell me, Jay Panda, would the system work over time? Firstly, he wouldn't have the clout to do that, and most importantly, the system would have taken any such person, put them in lockup, and made them squeal the truth. They did not make Bibi Mohanty squeal the truth. In this case, they revoked his suspension.
Arnab, I'm not familiar with the Supreme Court order that you are citing, but I think you must be aware that in recent years in Odisha, several police officers have been sacked, not suspended. And not only police officers, even IAS officers have been sacked for crimes of this kind or collusion. So it's not fair to say that the Odisha government is party to this, or as the lady was saying, that it does not take action against officers. But you must understand that you cannot take actions whimsically. You cannot take actions even when there is prima facie evidence. The prima facie evidence must be backed up with an investigation which shows concrete evidence. And unfortunately, the concrete evidence has never been proven.
Who was following up on this investigation? No, once Jay Panda, can I ask you?
No effort was made. No effort was made.
Arnab, you must allow me to intervene here.
How do you know no effort was made?
Joint investigation
How do you know? You weren't
should
there.
have been set up by Rajasthan and Orissa. You know, I mean, that kind of joint SIT.
No, but Arnab, you must allow me to come in here.
Jay Panda, isn't it a fact if your government, can I ask you, what pressure did your government put on the police officers? No effort was made because in January this year, Times Now put out a story in which senior police officials are on record talking about how they saw Bibi Mohanty. You should have woken up then. You should have started an investigation if you were serious. This was happening after the Nirbhaya case.
If somebody makes an announcement on television that they've seen somebody, that doesn't constitute proof. You actually have to locate the person.
So what
unless that happens,
independently, what was being done to locate the person?
You can't whimsically go around arresting people even if they are police officers.
No. Independently, what was done to...
But if you look at the track record of the Odisha government, police officers have indeed been suspended, have been arrested, have been sacked.
Have you actually...
You have to establish that with the proper corroboration
at any point of time, this was a classic example for you to teach all police officers who think they can get away with the system. You could have cracked the whip and told you this was your opportunity. You lost the opportunity, and I'm sure, Jay, heart of heart, even you recognize that you lost the opportunity to teach a lesson to someone and say you cannot get away by raping a woman. You may be a DGP's son.
The point is other police officers have been sacked for similar crimes. In this case, the man...
I'm talking about this case.
And if you cannot prove the prima facie evidence as concrete evidence, you cannot take that action, or not.
But you've not.
You can be judge, jury, and hangman on this show.
Evidence had to be inquired. The investigation had to be done. Why was the DG's phone not put on surveillance? There is so much technology. This boy was always in touch. He needed so many papers. He needed forged mark sheets, forged driving license. And if the DG's phone had been put on surveillance, we would like to know whether Odisha government had put the DG's phone on surveillance. Had they done it, I am sure everything would have been crystal clear. And if the police, when the Times Now campaign started after Nirbhaya's rape, why was a new inquiry not started again from scratch? Why were we waiting that only when he'll be caught we would start now inquiring into it?
Nirmala Sitharaman, please. Yes, Nirmala.
Arnab, can I just make a quick interjection?
You must allow me to make 3 quick points.
After Nirmala, please.
Can I make a quick interjection?
Too much of BJP from everybody.
Yes.
And I think I am therefore duty bound to speak for my party. You will please allow me this.
Do.
During Vasundhara's time, it was the prosecution which went about doing a fair and a very decent job, and that's as a result of which Bitti Mohanty was convicted. Let us grant that first of all. Second, if at all you think During the last 2 years of Vasundhara, she didn't allow enough detailed investigation as to how he jumped the parole. Let me ask, 5 years are nearly completed by Ashok Gehlot. Why isn't there so much of activism to point a finger at failure of the Congress? It seems more of a sensationalized Vasundhara's
certainly
rather than talk about 5 years.
Very good question. Very good question. But let's answer for the BJP now. Let's answer for the BJP.
According just hold on. I've been hearing too many people about Vasundhara. Third. What about the Kerala government? What about the Kerala government where this imposture was going on there? Is that a Congress government?
Kavita, reply please.
Please, ma'am. Let me. I've been hearing both of you all. You must hear this third point. In Kerala, if this imposture has been there, is it because there is a Congress government we allow them that they didn't notice this fellows present?
System has failed.
I'm therefore constrained to ask, is this trying to be in the name of Bitti Mohanty, hit at BJP, hit at
certainly.
Vasundhara Raje? I'm sorry.
One second.
Let us ask questions of all other governments which have been
Okay,
involved.
Kavita will respond to you. A charge being put here by Nirmala Sitharaman. Now, Nirmala, you make a charge that it's all being made political. Let me tell you one thing, that it's not political. I just want to make one point.
We are trying to talk about various levels.
No, one point. The point is that both in Rajasthan and in Orissa, perhaps it is possible that a cartel of influential police officers were working together, maybe in the absence of knowledge of the politicians, to collude to help this DGP's son. But the point is this, these police officers are answer to the chief ministers. Why did the chief ministers not think this is an important enough subject to pick it up independently on their own and teach these police officers a lesson? Kavita is responding to Nirmala Sitharaman. Kavita, please.
Yeah. See, I think the accountability of the Vasundhara Raje government has to be asked again and again. Not one Thanedar, right up to the DG, no questioning. The parole deed, that also was from a DG office, no questioning. For 2 years, that government remained, not a person suspended. Bitti Mohanty's father was suspended for a few days in Orissa. Here, nothing. And I think that's very serious. And of course, Vasundhara Raje government has to answer it. And we are saying it. I said it twice earlier in the show. I said even the government has not even shown a tokenism.
I say it on record.
Shown the tokenism.
I say it on record.
Inquiry.
Nirmala, in case it makes the point, I say it on record loudly on Newshour tonight. The Ashok Gehlot Congress government, all governments, both LDF and UDF governments in Kerala in the interim, as well as the previous governments, have to take responsibility here. Jay, just one very quick point. Well, see, Jay, this now, post Nirbhaya, this story is not about Bitti Mohanty, I'm sure you appreciate. It's about, can a powerful man's son rape someone and just walk away? There's a symbolism to this whole story.
Arnab, you're quite right. There is every possibility that there may have been collusion among certain senior officials cutting across state lines. And your other panelist, Kavita Srivastav, has some valid points about the systemic problems in terms of issuing parole and following up on that. But you must acknowledge that it is not just police officers' sons that get out of the system by using their connections. Other ordinary criminals pull strings and manage similar things on their own without having been related to police officers. But where I think we are being unfair is you can't make sweeping statements. At the one point she makes a statement that the state government did not tap the phone of the DG. And then later on she says asks a question whether he was tapped. You can't make such sweeping statements. One statement is that has the government taken any action against police officers? In several cases, as I said, police officers have been sacked. And here the man was suspended for 8 months, he was investigated. And if you cannot come up with hard evidence, you cannot take whimsical decisions based on Arnab Goswami's announcements on television.
Well, I don't know, but I will still put it, though you give me too much importance, Jay. But I would say one thing repeatedly, this is not the first case in which Times Now has put fresh facts in the case. I'm not hyping this, I'm not making it political, I'm not blaming BJP or BJD alone, but I'm legitimately saying when we exposed fresh facts post Nirbhaya on Bitti this year, because we felt hurt that in India today for 7 years a rapist is gone scot-free, why did the police still do nothing? Kavita wants to respond to you. Yeah. Kavita, we called him a VVIP rapist.
See,
our viewers responded. Kavita, very briefly, please. Very briefly, then I wrap up.
Yeah. See, Yeah, I think this whole thing that Justice Verma committee report brought out, making accountable the command responsibility. I really think we need to bring that in. That for every act of failure of a lower official, the higher official has to take responsibility.
That's a good point.
And that's with criminal penalties as well as disciplinary proceedings. And that is a political decision. That is why we are saying there's political collusion. If you have to take on senior officials, you want to fix responsibility. That comes only through political leadership. We can only see it through political leadership. And that is why the various governments have to take responsibilities. The chief ministers have to take responsibility.
I just want one point. Is it possible that nobody knew this man? This can't be a whodunit. Is it possible that only Bitti Mohanty knew who Bitti Mohanty was? Is one man capable of evading hundreds of thousands of policemen? As I put this picture out, that is food for thought. Nobody, certainly not a rapist, can be allowed to get away with the system. And this is not political. I thank Nirmala and Jay for their candid participation. I think eventually we are all on one page. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining.